Do you ever feel like you're just stuck? Like you're on a hamster wheel. You finish work, and what do? You open your phone. You scroll. You see something funny? You smile for a second, then you keep scrolling. Then you decide to watch a show. You finish one episode, and Netflix immediately starts the next one, so you watch that one too. Then you feel a little hungry, so you grab a snack, and before you know it, it's midnight. You've spent your entire evening chasing these little bits of pleasure, but you don't actually feel happy. In fact, you might even feel a little more anxious, a little more tired than when you started. You know what's crazy? It's not your fault. We are living in a world that is designed to make us feel this way. We have access to everything, all the time. Food, shopping, news, games, social media. It never ever stops, and it's making us miserable. But what if I told you there's a simple explanation for why this happens? And more importantly, a clear path to get off that hamster wheel and find real balance and joy again. That's where this incredible book comes in. It's called Dopamine Nation, Finding Balance in the Age of Indulgence by Dr. Anna Lembke. I'm telling you, this book is a complete game changer. It's like a user manual for your brain in the 21st century. It explains exactly why we all feel this constant need for more and how to take back control. If you get any value from this video, a quick tap of the like button really helps the channel out. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to dive into the most powerful ideas from this book. First, we'll explore the single most important concept, something Dr. Lembke calls the pleasure-pain balance. It's a simple idea about a seesaw in your brain that will blow your mind. Then we'll talk about how to reset this balance using something called a dopamine fast, and how to use a cool strategy called self-binding to protect yourself. And this is really important. Make sure you stick around until the very end of the video. Because just reading about this stuff is one thing, but using it is what really matters. So at the end, I'm going to share my own personal story, step by step, of how I used the ideas from Dopamine Nation to break my own crazy addiction to my phone. I was scrolling for hours every single night, feeling anxious and disconnected. I'll show you the exact process I followed from this book to get my time and my peace of mind back. You don't want to miss it. The problem: we are drowning in dopamine. Okay, so let's get right into it. The first big idea Dr. Lembke shares is that our main problem today isn't that we have too much pain. It's that we have way too much access to pleasure. Think about our ancestors, thousands of years ago. Life was hard. Food was scarce. Entertainment was rare. Survival was a full-time job. Their brains were perfectly built for that world. When they found something good, like a tree full of fruit, their brain released a chemical called dopamine. This dopamine did two things. First, it gave them a feeling of pleasure and reward. Second, it told them, hey, this is important for survival. Remember this and do it again. Dopamine is the chemical of motivation. But look at our world now. It's the complete opposite. We don't live in a world of scarcity. We live in a world of overwhelming abundance. Dr. Lembke says the smartphone is the modern-day hypodermic needle. With one tap, we can get a hit of dopamine delivered right to our brain. Shopping, gambling, social media, endless videos, fast food. It's all available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She uses a brilliant metaphor. She says we are like cacti in a rainforest. A cactus is designed to survive with very little water. If you put it in a rainforest where it rains all day, every day, the cactus will literally drown. Our brains are like that cactus. They are designed for a world with very little dopamine, but we're living in a dopamine rainforest. We are drowning in it. And you know what's wild? This isn't just about things we think of as bad, like drugs or alcohol. Dr. Lembke shares her own personal story in the book, which I thought was so brave and so relatable. She, a successful psychiatrist, found herself addicted to reading romance novels. It started with one book, Twilight, but then she got a Kindle. And with the Kindle, she could download a new book in seconds. She started reading all the time. Instead of talking to her family, instead of sleeping, she was reading. She read between appointments with her own patients. The stories became more and more extreme because the simple ones didn't give her that same feeling anymore. This is what happens to all of us. Whether your drug is romance novels, Instagram, potato chips, or video games, the easy access and high potency of modern pleasures pulls us in deeper and deeper until we feel like we can't stop. We're all living in our own version of Dopamine Nation. The secret seesaw in your brain, the pleasure-pain balance. So, why does this happen? Why can't we just enjoy all this pleasure and be happy? This next idea is the core of the entire book, and it totally changed how I see everything. It's the concept of the pleasure-pain balance. Picture this. Imagine there's a seesaw in your brain, a simple balance. In the middle is a pivot point. When you're not feeling much of anything, the seesaw is perfectly level with the ground. This level state is called homeostasis. Your brain loves homeostasis. It wants to stay level. Now, let's say you do something pleasurable. You eat a piece of delicious chocolate cake. When you do that, dopamine is released in your brain's reward circuit, and the seesaw tips down on the side of pleasure. The more pleasure you feel, and the faster you feel it, the more the seesaw tips. That feels good, right? But here's the catch, and this is the most important part. Your brain does not like to be off balance for long, so it has a powerful automatic system to bring the seesaw back to level. Dr. Lembke imagines this system as little gremlins. As soon as the seesaw tips to the pleasure side, these gremlins hop on the pain side of the seesaw to bring it back to level. You don't have to think about it. It happens automatically, like a reflex. So you finish your cake, the pleasure fades, and the gremlins have done their job. The seesaw is level again. But you know what's crazy? The gremlins don't just jump off right away. They hang around for a little while. And because they're still sitting on the pain side, the seesaw now tips to the side of pain. This is the come down. This is the after effect. It's that feeling of wanting just one more bite of cake. It's the mild sadness when your favorite show ends. It's the emptiness after you scroll through your whole feed. That slight feeling of pain, of craving, is the balance tipped to the pain side. What goes up must come down. Now, what happens if you eat that delicious chocolate cake every single day? Your brain is smart. It starts to expect that big hit of pleasure. So to prepare, it keeps more gremlins on the pain side of the seesaw all the time. They get bigger, stronger, and more numerous. This changes your baseline. Your natural level state is now tilted slightly to the side of pain. You start the day feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit down, a little bit irritable. Now you need that piece of cake not to feel good, but just to feel normal, just to bring the seesaw back to level. This is called tolerance. You need more of your drug to get the same effect. And here's the really sad part. Because your seesaw is now tilted towards pain, things that used to bring you simple joy, like a walk in the park or a conversation with a friend, don't do anything for you anymore. They don't have enough power to tip the seesaw over to the pleasure side. This is a state called anhedonia, which is the inability to enjoy pleasure. The very thing we used to get pleasure, the cake, has now robbed us of our ability to get pleasure from anything else. This simple idea of the pleasure-pain balance explains addiction perfectly. It's not just about chasing a high. It's about running from the low that is created by the high itself. It's a self-perpetuating cycle, a hamster wheel of our own making, all because of that simple seesaw in our brain. How to get off the hamster wheel. Dopamine fasting. Okay, so if our brain's seesaw is tilted to the side of pain, what can we do about it? How do we get those gremlins to pack up and leave? The answer is simple, but it's not easy. The solution is abstinence. Dr. Lembke calls this a dopamine fast. Now, this term has been misunderstood. It doesn't mean you have to sit in a dark room and do nothing for 24 hours to avoid all dopamine. That's impossible. What it really means is taking a dedicated period of time away from your specific drug of choice. Your one thing, whether it's video games, sugar, online shopping, or social media, that has tipped your balance too far. How long do you need to abstain? The book says that for most people, 4 weeks is the minimum amount of time needed to really reset the brain's reward pathway. 2 weeks is usually not enough. You're still in the withdrawal phase. But after about a month, something magical happens. The gremlins get bored and they go home. Your seesaw, your pleasure-pain balance, finally returns to its natural level position. When that happens, your brain can once again take pleasure in simple, everyday rewards. The sun rising, a cup of coffee, a hug from someone you love. These things start to feel good again because your baseline isn't set to pain anymore. To help her patients through this process, Dr. Lembke created a brilliant framework using the acronym DOPAMINE. It's a step-by-step guide to understanding your habit and taking back control. D stands for data. You have to be honest about your use. How much are you really doing it? How often? Write it down. O is for objectives. Why do you use it? What does it do for you? Maybe it relieves boredom or helps with anxiety. It's important to know what purpose it serves. P is for problems. What are the downsides? How is it negatively affecting your life, your health, your relationships? A is for abstinence. This is the dopamine fast. Committing to that month-long break to let your brain heal and reset. M is for mindfulness. During that first period of abstinence, you're going to feel uncomfortable. The cravings will come. Instead of running from those feelings, the goal is to just sit with them, to observe them without judgment and without acting on them. This is how you learn to tolerate discomfort. I is for insight. After you've abstained for a while, you'll start to see your behavior with new eyes. You'll finally be able to see clearly the cause and effect between your drug and how you feel. And N is for next steps. After the month is over, what do you want to do? Do you want to continue abstaining or try to go back to using in moderation? And E is for experiment. This is where you put your new plan into action, armed with all the insight you've gained. This process isn't a quick fix. It takes work. But it's a real science-backed path to getting your balance back. You have to let the seesaw level out. And the only way to do that is to stop pushing down on the pleasure side so hard for long enough that your brain can find its way back to normal. Building a fence, the power of self-binding. So you've done a dopamine fast, your brain is reset, and you're feeling good. But we still live in the same world, a world full of easy temptations. How do you stop yourself from falling back into old patterns? This is where the next big idea comes in. Self-binding. Self-binding is the simple act of creating barriers between yourself and your drug of choice. It's a way of admitting that willpower alone is not enough, especially when a craving hits. You know that moment when the urge is so strong, it feels like you're not in control anymore? That's your brain's reward pathway taking over. Self-binding is how you give the thinking part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, a fighting chance. Dr. Lembke talks about 3 types of self-binding. First, there's physical self-binding. This is about creating actual physical distance. If your problem is online shopping, you could delete the apps from your phone. If it's video games, you could put the console in a box in the garage. If it's junk food, you don't buy it and don't bring it into the house. The author tells a funny story about getting rid of her Kindle to stop her romance novel habit. Just the simple act of having to go to a library or bookstore was enough of a barrier to slow her down. Second, there's chronological self-binding. This is about using time. You create rules for when you're allowed to use your drug. For example, I will only check social media for 30 minutes after dinner. Or, I will only eat dessert on weekends. This creates clear finish lines and narrows the window of consumption, making it much harder to overdo it. Third, and this one is really interesting, is categorical self-binding. This is where you sort your use into different categories and only allow yourself certain ones. A great example from the book is about a man addicted to sports betting. To recover, he didn't just have to stop betting. He also had to stop watching sports on TV, stop reading the sports page, and stop listening to sports radio. He had to avoid the entire category of sports because it was all a trigger for him. For someone else, it might be, I can watch YouTube videos for learning how to fix my sink, but I can't watch funny cat videos. You create categories of healthy and unhealthy use. The point of all this is to make it harder to do the thing you want to do less of. By creating these little bits of friction, you put space between the desire and the action. In that space, you have a chance to think and make a better choice. You're essentially helping your future self make the right decision by making it for them in advance. The secret to lasting happiness: leaning into pain. Okay, so we've learned that chasing pleasure leads to pain. We've learned how to reset our balance with abstinence and protect it with self-binding. But the book has one more incredible, counterintuitive secret to share, and this might be the most powerful one of all. If chasing pleasure makes us unhappy, what if the secret to happiness is actually to chase pain? I know that sounds completely nuts, but stick with me. Remember our seesaw? We've been talking about what happens when we push down on the pleasure side. Dopamine goes up, then the gremlins come, and we end up on the pain side. But what happens if we intentionally push down on the pain side first? What happens if we do something that's difficult or uncomfortable on purpose? Well, the brain still wants to get back to level. So what does it do? It sends gremlins, but this time they jump on the pleasure side to balance things out. After the initial pain is over, we're left with the seesaw tipped to the side of pleasure. And here's the best part. This pleasure is more lasting, and it doesn't come with that awful rebound into a deficit state. By embracing pain, our brain rewards us by making its own feel-good chemicals. This is the science of something called hormesis. Hormesis is the idea that small controlled doses of stress or pain are actually good for us. They make us stronger, more resilient, and happier. What kind of pain are we talking about? The book gives some amazing examples. One is intense exercise. When you first start running, it's hard. Your lungs burn, your legs hurt, it's painful. But what happens after you finish? You feel amazing. That's the runner's high. That's your brain rewarding you for doing something hard. Another incredible example is cold exposure. The book tells the story of a man who, in his recovery from addiction, started taking ice baths. For the first 10 seconds, his body was screaming, "Stop! This is awful." It was pure pain, but after he got out, he felt an incredible, natural high that lasted for hours. Why? Because his body responded to the intense cold by flooding his system with its own dopamine and other mood-boosting chemicals. Studies show that a cold water bath can increase dopamine levels by 250%, and the effect lasts for hours, unlike the short burst from a piece of cake. This explains why we feel so good after we do something hard. Whether it's a tough workout, fasting for a day, or even just doing a task we've been avoiding, the effort and discomfort pays off with a much more genuine and lasting sense of well-being. So the ultimate lesson here is that in our world of easy, cheap pleasure, the real path to a balanced and happy life is to stop running from discomfort. It's to intentionally seek out and embrace challenges. It's to press on the pain side of the balance and let our brain give us the reward we've truly earned. My personal journey, how I broke my phone addiction. Okay, so reading a book is one thing, but actually applying it is what really matters. So, as I promised at the beginning, I'm going to show you exactly how I've been using the ideas from Dopamine Nation in my own life to deal with a problem that was really starting to worry me. My phone. For a while, my phone use had gotten, well, a little out of control. It started innocently. I'd just check Instagram or TikTok for a few minutes after work to unwind. But soon, a few minutes became an hour. Then, 2 hours. I'd find myself sitting on the couch, scrolling endlessly, barely even noticing what I was looking at. My wife would be trying to talk to me, and I'd be half listening, my eyes glued to the screen. I was staying up way too late, which made me tired and grumpy the next day. The worst part was the feeling I had when I wasn't on it. I felt this constant, low-level anxiety, this pull to check my phone just one more time. It was a classic case of my pleasure-pain balance being way off. So I decided to use Dr. Lembke's Dopamine framework to fix it. First was D, for data. I decided to get brutally honest. I went into my phone's settings and looked at the screen time report. You know what's crazy? I was horrified. I was spending an average of 4.5 hours on my phone every single day, and 3 of those hours were just on social media apps. 3 hours. That was the hard data I couldn't ignore. Next was O for objectives. Why was I doing this? I realized it was my go-to for everything. If I was bored, I scrolled. If I was stressed, I scrolled. If I felt a little bit lonely, I scrolled. It was a tool to escape any uncomfortable feeling. Then P for problems. This was easy. It was stealing my time. It was damaging my connection with my wife. It was ruining my sleep. And honestly, it was making me more anxious, not less. So I got to A, for abstinence. This was the big one. I decided to do a full 30-day dopamine fast from my two biggest problem apps, Instagram and TikTok. On day 1, I held my breath and deleted both of them from my phone. My thumb literally kept going to the empty spot on my screen where they used to be. The next part was M, for mindfulness. And let me tell you, the first week was rough. It was so boring. I felt this constant itch, this urge to just download them again for a quick peek. It was a real physical feeling of craving, but instead of giving in, I just sat with it. I told myself, okay, this is what withdrawal feels like. This is the pain side of the seesaw. Just notice it. I didn't try to fight it. I just let the feeling be there. And slowly, after a few days, the urge started to feel less powerful. This led to I for insight. Around day 10, a huge realization hit me. I had always told myself I scrolled because I was anxious. But now, with the apps gone, my baseline anxiety was actually lower. The constant scrolling wasn't a treatment for my anxiety. It was the cause of it. It was a mind-blowing moment of clarity. I also realized how much free time I actually had. I started reading books again, real paper books. I went for walks. I was just more present. After the 30 days were up, it was time for N next steps. I honestly didn't even miss the apps. I felt so much better. But I also knew that social media was a part of modern life, and I wanted to find a way to use it in a healthy way. My goal wasn't to abstain forever, but to use it in strict moderation. Finally, E for experiment. This is where I used self-binding. I reinstalled Instagram, but I set up strict rules. I used my phone's screen time limiter to give myself a hard limit of 20 minutes per day. When the time is up, the app locks. No exceptions. That was my chronological binding. For physical binding, I made a new rule. My phone does not enter the bedroom. It charges overnight in the kitchen. This has been a total game changer for my sleep. It's been a few months now, and it has completely changed my relationship with my phone. I'm in control now, not the apps. And it's all because I followed the simple, powerful steps in this book. So the final summary and my key takeaway from Dopamine Nation is this. In a world that sells us easy pleasure at every turn, the true secret to happiness and freedom is to intentionally choose to do hard things. I honestly can't recommend this book enough. This summary only scratches the surface. Dr. Lembke fills the book with so many fascinating patient stories and goes so much deeper into the science. Please, do yourself a favor and buy a copy. It will support her incredible work, and it might just change your life. I've left a link in the description for you. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, please hit that like button. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know. What's your drug of choice? What's the one thing you find yourself overdoing? There's no judgment here, and I read all the comments. Thanks for watching, my friend, and I'll see you in the next one.